Hello and welcome to another modelling video. Today I'd like to do a little more something special than your normal model review and try to capture a period in time that I've discovered through this issue of Scale Model International. And this particular issue covers science fiction modelling and has a small article on Mecha Modeling and various animes associated to the best of the knowledge of the West at the time. Now, as you may know, watching my content, I do enjoy and love vintage kits and kits from various periods. I do enjoy their simplicity and limited articulation, the way you use glue to assemble them, fill the seam lines and produce something that's very unique that other people aren't prepared to play with since it's not snap or pre-coloured. So I'll show you a model and give you a bit of a history of... A little while ago I bought a stack of kits off eBay from someone who grew out of this hobby. And most likely back in the day when you were building these kits, this is sort of the best finish you could get by hand painting enamels and gluing it together with glue, leaving your nubs or seam lines fully exposed. But instead of getting the perfect finish or the most neat job possible, the idea was to have something unique to yourself and to have fun with the process. And I dug up these old paints, which would be the sort of brand and the method you use to apply straight out of the pot with a brush, and you clean the brush with a rag and a little bit of turpentine. During the publication of this magazine, Gundam wasn't too popular. This is an example of what was currently on offer in its range, and some of these models you can still buy today as re-releases, which are perfectly still fine to build and a lot of fun. This magazine was printed in December. It sold for £1. I assumed it was printed in England and made for the general Commonwealth people to read across the empire. I'm gonna read bits of the robot part of the article in the science fiction section, and we'll give a bit of my own comment. Robot Takeover. Ask any self-respecting market research person if you could sell a product, often a relatively expensive product, to a country that didn't know anything about its origin or why it was being made, and I suspect you would get a funny reply. Both in the US, where originally the TV cartoon featuring the robots hasn't been shown, and in the UK where they are still not, it was discovered that you could sell as many robot kits. At a recent count, there were 92 separate Japanese robot and related TV series and films. 36 of these shows are represented by kits from various companies now. Yeah, now we can't tell you how many mecha kits there are out. For God's sakes, these guys are referring to Godzilla, which is completely irrelevant. The information's very broad. It's like the writer who wrote this has very little knowledge, built a few of these kits. They've never really seen these shows before, though somewhat as close to a fan as you could get to the West, though it does drop some show names like Macross and XABUNGLE. Bandai is mentioned as one of the leading manufacturers of mecha kits back then, though Gundam is practically not mentioned in this, though it's not surprising since the line has only been out for 4 years, and some of these other lines have been out for a lot longer, but it's a pity that very little information is about that. It mentioned Star Blazers, Space Cruiser Yamato, and XABUNGLE. It's really mostly into Macross and XABUNGLE, and the kits or the scales, they mostly mention a 1/100th, 1/144th, 1/1000th, and 1/48, which is still very similar to now. We just have a much larger range. It's also interesting to note that they mention all Japanese robots to be mobile suits, like they're all Gundams, even though they have not mentioned Gundams at this point and failed to use the word like Valkyrie or whatever other terms are relatively used in the series, though since they were subtitled, you were at the discretion of whatever the subtitleists told you. I will remind you that back in this period, communities were a lot more diverse and not well connected, and failing not to have the internet, research was very difficult, so these guys had a very little to work with, and I believe they've done a great job in doing this spread in this magazine and starting the community that we have today.
Needle thing.
What needle thing?
Oh, instead of those pots of glue thing.
Oh.
It's got, instead the glue's in this little box and you sort of squeeze it out of this little pipe needle thing.
Ah, okay.
So you could actually probably inject somebody with it, which would be a bad idea, but you know.
Okay, for panel line.
Yay! Blades!
So as long as no one touches this is mine.
Aha.
Sexy. Cut it pretty cut.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah, so I was told that words would be had with me if I brought in my toolkit because it's got a great big Games Workshop logo on the side. Even though I've put in other stuff as well.
in the shop glasses, the paint wire. Use that.
There's it comes.
Yeah, technically, I would use that to mix paints and it's good stuff.
Yes. So, like I say, first thing I need to do is obviously paint the GN Archer black and then
This kit came together nicely and was pretty well detailed, though it did have some assembly issues due to the way it's articulated, and some of the joints are extremely fragile and breaks easily. You could get in a little trouble when trying to fill some of those seam lines. The kit did not come apart for painting, so I assume you're meant to mask and hand paint this. And I did have to glue this in a mostly static pose due to also paint scratching problems and the above problems. I airbrushed this loosely following a colour scheme I found in the instructions, which is quite interesting, the box digital camouflage, and used a mixture of decals I found in my decal stack for military kits and miscellaneous sci-fi subjects. What really attracted me to this particular build when I saw it on the internet was its extremely unusual shape. It's weird sounding name since I've never heard of this show and am currently looking for it to watch myself, and thought I could actually take this model pretty far, ignoring when it was manufactured or how old it was. I believe it's a fantastic addition to my collection and absolutely love it for what it is. I hope this video has brought you a bit of an insight in this time that even I didn't live through, of when people built models just because of the sheer likeliness of the appearance and not even knowledge of what the actual subject matter is, which is no problems behind that. It is all for fun. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I will leave you with a challenge. Keep an eye open for one of these re-releases of 80s kits. Extra points if it's not a Gundam, and give it a go. You will learn a certain charm of this hobby that you've never picked up before building the more modern kits. Catch you later.